Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here. Cynthia almost got her cover blown by moving too fast. Her supervisors, if they wouldn't have been listening, they would have blown the whole thing. But now, she's worried. She's worried about her cousin because if Big 50 is smart enough to understand that you don't just blindly trust somebody and put them out there and understanding that you got to test them first, then he's probably paying more attention to her cousin than he's letting on now. So when she gets to work the next day, she takes his pizza. You know, he wanted pizza, her pizza. She bought him a whole pizza, but she broke it down into slices and put it all in one container and took it in. They didn't say anything about it. She took it in and took it and had it at her desk, and when he came to the desk, she took a piece out and she gave it to him. And he was happy. He hadn't had pizza in a long time, and Pizza Hut was his favorite restaurant. So he sat there and ate the pizza out in the open as he talked to her, not concerned with the police or anybody about what was going on at all. Different officers would walk in, look, say something to him, say something to her, walk out. Nothing would be said. So she assumed that these officers were under his thumb as well. So she was like, why does nobody say anything to you? And so he started just freely breaking down everything. Remember what I said, y'all. Most people that's in this lifestyle, they ain't no fun unless somebody knows the power that they have. They want you to know what's really going on with them. Most people that are deep in the game have this hole inside of them where they seek validation by you knowing what it is that they do. And the validation part of it comes in when you know what they do and you still accept them as that. But what they don't understand, and what I didn't understand back in the day, is that the only reason people pretend to understand and accept you is because they are afraid. It's not because they like you and they cool with you. Very few people will get to know you as the person you are and like you regardless of that. I've had very few people to do that. And these are some people that have been my friend beyond the number of years that I've been locked up. Period. And he didn't understand that yet. But she did. If not for the power that he had, his world would be empty. It would be empty. So he told her, he said, look, you passed. You passed the test. You're just fine. He said, now, take that number with you. This is the real deal. She said, I don't have time for games. Either you want me in your life or you don't. I'm cool with that. It don't matter to me. But we're not going to continue to play this game. He said, wait. You got one more test to pass. And she said, what is that? He said, no, it's going to happen today right here. I want you to do something for me right here. And she says, what is it? Now, in the area that she's in, it's a cage, right? So it's not like any, you can't see in there, right? But behind the desk that she sits at, you can't see behind that desk unless you get up and you look over behind the desk. So even if somebody walked up behind her, they would be still shielded from being able to see her because of the cabinets that's behind her and the desk that's to the side and in front of her, right? You have to get up and actually look behind it, but you can see in the cage from any angle, right? But you can't see her body. So he tells her, he said, this is what I need you to do. And he hands her a razor. And she said, what is this for? She said, I don't understand. And it's a razor he had taken out of a razor, that you shave with. The razor that's inside of it, he broke it and took it out. He said, this is what I want you to do. He said, go into the restroom. And he said, those pants you have on, I want you to slit a hole in between your legs. I want you to slit it right where that coochie is. Slit it. And she's looking at him like, what? What are you thinking? He said, no, this is what you're going to do. I want you to do that. And when you do that, I want you to make sure when you go in the restroom, take your pants off and do it. And then take your panties off. Bring me your panties. And put those pants back on with that slit between your legs. with no panties on. Come back out here, give me your panties, and I want you to play in it in front of me, right here, while I watch you. And if you do that, you pass my test. Why is this important? He wants her, he needs her, that narcissistic side of him needs her to humiliate herself in front of him. Now, here's the thing. She doesn't have on a wire. The place is not wired up. And she's not on her phone where her supervisors can hear her. So she's thinking, nobody will know this. And I'm doing this for this investigation. This is what she's telling herself. She's telling herself to do this. This is going to be okay. I'm doing this for the investigation so I can help my cousin and everybody else that's under this man's thumb. So she looks at him and she's angry. And he likes that look on her face. And she gets up, she grabs the razor, she gets up, she said, I'll be right back. She walks into the restroom, and after about 5 minutes, she comes back and she has her panties balled up tightly in her hand. And she slides her fist across the desk and she says, here. And she hands them to him. And the red lace panties, laced with black, she hands them to him. And without any concern for anybody that might be walking by, he picks them up and smells them. And he laughs. And he said, let me see. And she looks at him angrily. And she spreads her legs. And she shows him the split that she's cut in her pants. And he said, spread your legs wider. And she does. She looks around to make sure nobody can see her. And he said, well? And without saying a word, she slid her hand down there. And she starts to masturbate right there in front of him. And of course the natural things happen, okay? She has to play the role, but she's angry. And she's looking at him the whole time. And she knows that if she doesn't show him with her face that she's enjoying this, that she won't be able to achieve what it is that she's trying to achieve. So she does it. And she talks to him. And he talks back. And his two henchmen, they turn and they look. And he says, turn back around. This is not for you. This is for me. And when she finishes, she sits there at the desk and she looks at him. She said, have I passed now? And he said, yes. She said, hold on, I'll be right back. And she reaches and grabs her panties. And she goes to the restroom. She cleans herself up, puts her panties on, and comes back out and sat at the desk. She said, what do I do with this number? And he told her, call that number and give them this message. He slides another piece of paper across the desk. She opens it and she reads the piece of paper. And it has the drop-off spot, the amount of drugs, and the time. And he tells her, if you do this for me, it'll be just me and you. Nobody else. She said, what does that look like? He said, well, I got lawyers working on my case. I'm going to get out of here. And I'm going to need somebody like you that I can trust by my side. But until then, you will run everything from me, from the streets. You'll make all the calls. You'll make sure everything is right. You'll control the things that I need you to control. She said, so what do I get? He said, what do you get? You get me. She said, you can't pay the bills. I need money. He said, you want money? He said, I make more money than you in a day that you make in a year. I got money. She said, I don't see that. I said, she said, you gave me $1,000. That's it. Where's the real money that you say you're making? He says, I can't hand that over to you right now, but in time I will. She said, I don't want it. I just need to be able to take care of myself while I'm doing this. If this is about me and you, can't you see that? You give me a little, but you still want to have control over me. No. She said, I can't do it. So she hands him back the number and the note. She's got it in her memory though, but she's playing it. She said, no. Either you're going to give me all of you, or I don't want any of you. Keep dealing with the people that you're dealing with. These females that are afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. And he's never heard anybody talk to him like that. It's just fascinating to him that she would do that in the face of all the things that he could do to her. And she was willing to entertain herself in front of him. He thinks he has the perfect woman. And he looks at her and he says, I'll send it to you. And he slides the 2 pieces of paper back to her. She takes them. She takes them. And then she knew she had it. She said, I got to leave early today. And he said, what's going on? She said, I got a doctor's appointment. And since I was going to stop by after I got off work, I can't do that now because I need to go home and take a shower, considering what I just did for you. And he just laughed it off like it wasn't a big thing. And he said, well, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. So a couple of hours went by. She checked on her cousin Curtis. He wasn't doing so well, and she told him she'll see him tomorrow. She'll bring him something to eat. And he told her, bring him some more, chicken and rice. He loved it. And she said, I got you, cuz. And she left. As soon as she got into the car, she said, I think we got him. She said that he gave me this information. She sent him the phone number, a new phone number. She sent him the message, and she told him that he was going to give me access to the money if I could take care of this for him so we can be together, Her supervisors and everybody in the room, they just laughed. She could hear them all laughing. She said, we finally got him. And they were like, yeah, it looks like it, but we'll see. So her supervisor said, so who is this person that you're trying to get out of there? Who are you trying to help? And she said, I'll have to talk to you about that in person. She said, could you meet me at the house? And he said, no, it's not a good idea that we meet at the house. Big 50 seems to be smarter than we think, so he may have somebody watching your house. And so she said, okay, meet me at the grocery store. So they met at a grocery store in the aisle, and as they were walking up and down the aisle, she told her supervisor the whole story about her cousin Curtis. And he felt sympathetic about the issue, but he said, if we move him to another prison, it's not going to be better for him. She said, I know that. She said, is there any kind of way that we can use him as an informant and let that be taken into consideration and taken back in front of a judge to get him some help, get him out of there, shorten his sentence any kind of way? So her supervisor said, I'll take that to the DA. But you got to remember, his case is a state case, and we don't have any jurisdiction over that. But sometimes we work things out, and we might be able to work something out and get him transferred into a federal facility that's better than the facility that he's in now and meeting him to minimum security. He won't have to worry about any of these threats that he's facing here. She said, that's perfect. That'll be perfect. So, as her supervisor goes to work on that, she continues to work the case. She makes the call. They respond and tell her okay. Everything goes off without a hitch. They're taking pictures, surveilling. They got everybody involved, picking up, dropping off, all of these different types of things. Big 50 thinks everything is fine. Everything is smooth. She goes back to work, talk to him. Everything is running as he wants it to run. Everybody's straight with everything and how everything is turning out. And after a couple of weeks goes by, she said, I need some money. He said, oh, don't worry about that. I got a surprise for you. She said, a surprise? He was like, yeah, I got a surprise for you. He said, you'll have it in a week. She said, what is it? He said, it's a surprise. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's a surprise. She said, okay. All right. But she said, in the meantime, in between time, can I have a few dollars? So he reaches in his pocket, peels off $1,000 and gives it to her. She takes it and does the same thing when she gets home that she did to the other. She puts it in the evidence bag and marks it evidence. So she goes back and forth to work. She's talking to Curtis, she's feeding him, and she's feeding Big Fit at the same time. Everything seems to be smooth. Everything seems to be working out just fine. And then a week goes by. And a car pulls up in front of the house. It's a Mercedes-Benz, the coupe. She goes out there and she says, can I help you? And the guy that gets out of the car, he has on a Mercedes-Benz dealer's uniform and all this and that. And he said, your name is Cynthia? And she's like, yes. He said, this is yours. He hands her the car and he starts to walk. There was another car a little bit further down the road that his partner had came with him so that he could drive him back. So he gets in the car and says, enjoy your new car. He says, you have an envelope on the seat. So she gets in the car. She sees this envelope on the seat. She opens up the envelope. He says that it's about me and you now. And it had all of these numbers beneath it. A whole row of numbers. She's like, what is this? So she picks up her phone, and before she could dial his number, the phone rang. It was him. He says, you get your gift? And she was like, this is from you? And he's like, yes. He said, did you open the envelope? And she's like, yes. He said, that's my account number in the Caymans. She says, what? He said, that's my account number in the Caymans. One of them. I can't give you all of it right now. But this is the one that you eat out of. Take care of yourself. There's enough money in there to help you for the next 10 years. I should be out before then. You can keep working here, but let that money be the one, what you use. Take care of yourself. I told you that it's me and you. And she's thinking, under any other circumstances, if she met a man like this that wasn't crooked, this would be perfect. She just was given a gift of a brand new Mercedes-Benz and enough money to last her and take care of her bills for the next 10 years. Who wouldn't want that? But she knew that, this was fantasy. But she had to play her role, and she's just all giddy and laughing, telling him, thank you, baby, thank you. For the first time, he hears her say, baby. And now he's all in. She gets off of the phone with him, and her supervisor hits up and said, did I just hear right? And she was like, yeah. I have a brand new Mercedes-Benz. And he said, well, look, you can't keep that. And she said, I know. But I have to drive it to work. If I don't drive it to work, he may know. He said, for the time being, you drive it, but be careful. He said, bring it by the shop. We got to make sure and clean it and sweep it and make sure it's not bugged or wired. But be careful. And he said, we're going to check that account out too. We can use that as in the RICO case against him. And if you want to know how this continues to play out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.